A very wonderful morning to all of our listeners across the nation. This is iPower 102.7 FM in Morelia, and the program is Political Perspective, where we dissect clinically events and incidents in our political space for the betterment of our society and our country at large. My name is Alaba Adeyemi, and I welcome you. I advise you to sit back, relax, and enjoy this week's edition of the program. For a while now, the program has been anchored by my very able colleague Florence Ibarima, who is inadvertently absent this morning, but I promise to still take you on this wonderful ride this morning. Please, I'll be back shortly. Don't go away. Last week, Saturday, by-elections were held across over 5 states across the nation. In Ekiti State, the governorship election was held, and for the first time in the history of that state, a governor is elected twice back to back. Although 2 of their governors have served 2 terms, that is Ayodele Fayose and Kayode Fayemi. But both of them contested, came in, then attempted to go back, lose, come back later to win. But in the case of Biodun Abayomi, he has been elected twice now, and he is going to be serving another 4 years when the current one terminates. In Ondo State, we also had a by-election to replace the senator representing Ondo South Senatorial District. You would recall that the senator representing that district, that is Jimoh Ibrahim, was appointed as a permanent representative of Nigeria at the United Nations. This move led to him relinquishing his senatorial position. And right now, another election has been conducted last Saturday, and a winner has emerged in person of Professor Dayo Faduile, the candidate of the All Progressives Congress in that election. He has been elected, and he is the winner of that election. But there are several issues surrounding both elections that we shall be examining. In Enugu State, so the candidate of the APC won the by-election in Enugu State. The same thing for Nasarawa and Kano State. We will be back again. I'll be joined by my colleague and in-house analyst Akin Adebayo, who served as our correspondent in Ondo South during the by-election, and we shall be comparing notes as I represented this station in covering the Ekiti State governorship election. We shall be looking at the process and the players in our election, and you know that in August, God willing, there will be another governorship election in Osun State, and Osun has been very hot now. There has been killings and violent disruptions and different kind of drama in Osun. But August 15th, God willing, we shall be in Osun again to bring you live details of how the election will play out in Osun State. But in January next year, we shall be having a general election across the country. It is therefore necessary for us to take a look at the process, what has been the improvement, and the players have they also improved. Stay with us. We'll be back very soon. Well, like I explained to you the other time, with me in the house as Mr. Akin Adebayo is here with us right now, and we shall be today. I will not be interviewing him. We shall be comparing notes. When two people go to two different places, there's a need for notes to be compared and for us to examine whether the process has improved. Let us start from, I'll start from Mr. Adebayo. The days leading to the election, let us even talk about a day to the election. What were your observations? What did you notice? And as someone who has been participating in election, maybe as a voter or as a participant, do you think that our electoral processes have improved?
Well, thank you very, very much. When we talk about improvement, it is relative. Improvement in what context? That is what you have to look into. If I'm not mistaken, at least if I want to be sincere myself, historically, I would have said that our election has indeed improved. From the era of analog, should I say, is the analog or other some around? Direct voting that we giving the voters card. You just go and vote, no accreditation. Even if you're accredited, manual.
There was a time that we used to use slips to vote.
Slips to vote. Stuff like that. So
I remember that in the election of 2007,
yeah,
that brought in the former governor Mimiko, the Musa Yar'Adua as president, Mimi and Governor Mimiko as governor. I remember that we used slips.
Exactly, we used slips, and I think that I would want to lay more emphasis on the emergence of late Umar Yar'Adua, former president. He actually, a particular president then, in person of President Olusegun Obasanjo, said 2007 election is going to be a do or die affair. So I think that was where we started having serious issues. Because I remember vividly when we returned back to democracy in 1999. In fact, an election conducted by the military was one of the fairest, if I must say, apart from the election of 1993 that brought about the issue of June 12th, which is presumed to be the fairest and credible election in Nigerian history. I think the next one you can equally say is that of the one of 1999 as well. You understand? And I think it was a result of what happened in 1993 that gave birth to such reasonable level of credibility of 1999 election, because in the history of Nigeria, I think for the first time, we are having two major aspirants, contestants, so to speak, coming from the same ethnic group. As a courtesy, as a result of, just as a ripple effect of 1993 election that accumulated into what happened in 1999, referring to the death of Abiola. So that was why it was deliberately considered to southwestern region, so that let the president just to placate from my own I'm from a point of view anyway, my own analysis, my own belief. That was why we were considered to southwestern states. So, like I said, in 2007, when Obasanjo went all out there in making sure that he had a successor, he said he's going to be a do or die affair, and at the end of the day, we knew what happened then. But I now give that credit, that credit to the late Umar Yar'Adua. This man went to United Nations General Assembly, UNGA, in the US, and that was when he said he actually made a public confession that he knew that the election that brought him to power was marred with irregularities, and we're going to put in place electoral reform, and which he did. When he set up the committee was headed by former CJN in person of Mohammed Weiss. He headed the committee, and I think Professor Ataru Jega was part of the committee. At the end of the day, Ataru Jega emerged as then is it INEC as well? INEC chairman or INEC chairman, as the case may be. They emerged, and that was when he now introduced voters card. That was when he, at least I've forgotten what it was called then. I think this voter card then, and that was the springboard for what we are seeing now in the level of development of our electoral process. So I can say for free that indeed our electoral process has really improved tremendously. But trust Nigerian politics, and it was after that voter card. That was when Beavers was now introduced again by, I forgot to introduce Beavers So by successive INEC chairman, you understand, it was introduced, and there have been a kind of upgrade regarding that. So I want to believe that our election is actually, the process is actually improving. Rome was not built in a day, according to the popular saying. So it's just a matter of time. But the pace at which it is improving, I think, is what we should start looking into now. But like I said the other time, it's so unfortunate that kind of people who are dealing with our politicians, they know how to go around things. And everybody goes thus. By saying give one and give a lower, not to mboka. Then we always know how to circumvent the whole process. And I think we are now in another phase of electoral circumvention now as I speak. So, but to a large extent, I can say that our electoral process has really improved.
Now, when we say electoral process, we are talking about how the system allowed participants to conduct themselves before the election. What happened before the election? Were there primaries? Were the primaries properly conducted? Were people allowed to campaign? Did the media give certain candidates preference over others? Because that is why I have announced on this radio before that for us at IPA, our doors are open, and we are willing to give anyone who is contesting from any party opportunity to express himself, to tell members of the public what exactly they are doing or what they intend to do. Then we will now talk about the electoral umpire. Was the electoral umpire neutral during the election? And if the electoral umpire is neutral, how is the electoral umpire perceived to have been neutral? Then we will now move into saying the election itself. Were people allowed to vote? Were people intimidated to vote for a particular candidate? Were people, supporters of a particular candidate, prevented from accessing the polling unit? Then we'll talk about documentation of the records. The records that of the outcome of the election. How were they documented? Were they properly documented? Is anybody saying that those figures are not the figures? Was there anyone who wanted to vote and at the end of the day could not vote? Then we'll now talk about a trending issue, vote buying, which has almost become a culture in our election. How were the votes procured? Were they procured with the use of force? Were they procured in the presence of the electoral umpire? Because many of the reports that we have had, that many people are saying that they are giving people money, was the money given in the presence of the law enforcement agents and representatives of the umpire? If they were given, where? Or is it that people are going to collect the money 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 buildings away from the polling unit, where the security men and the INEC officials cannot see? We will now talk about what is even the voters' turnout compared to the population of registered voters. What's the percentage? Is it women that are coming out the most, or youths, or men? Which demographics in the population is not coming out at all to exercise their franchise? What can we do? Those are the issues about the process. Then there are complaints. There have always been complaints about beavers not working. Why are beavers not working? Is it a machine error or a network problem? They said beavers could not accredit some persons, take time to accredit. Some persons have given excuses that some of like my own voters card now, that I possess was registered in 2011, because that was when that PVC culture started. Prior to the 2011 election, my face has maybe gotten older a little, and they say if people now have scars on their faces, or some persons have grown so old between the time they registered and now. Those are the issues that people have raised. But before we go to that, there was a report that we did prior to the Ekiti State election, where we spoke about the challenges, some of the complaints before the election in Ekiti State. So we are going to spend the next maybe 5 to 10 minutes listening to that this thing again. It will give us the preamble to our discussion about the election in Ekiti State, and the report focuses on some of the issues before primary elections within the party, and subsequently after the primary elections in the states. We'll be back. Please take a listen to.
On the surface, Ekiti State appears politically stable and peaceful, with all political players and stakeholders queued up behind the current governor, Abiodun Oyebanji. However, several incidents in the last 1 year have painted pictures of a piece of the graveyard sustained by suppression and brutal force. In the last 24 months, several cases of arrest, physical assault, and intimidation of members of the opposition across party lines and supporters within the APC of other aspirants have been recorded. In the period preceding the party primaries within the All Progressives Congress, several supporters of Engineer Kayode Ojo were attacked in the open and in their homes. A former local government councillor in the state, Saka Busayo, nearly lost his legs when thugs, supposedly loyal to the governor, attacked him at his home over his support for Kayode Ojo.
Orúkọ mi ni Yakubu Saka Busayo. Wọ́n tún méjì ni mo ṣe youth leader. Ní wọ́n tún mi ní former councillor. Wọ́n tún ní lọ́sẹ̀ ọ̀sẹ̀ nínú ọ̀sẹ̀ káyà. Mo fún ọ̀ṣà lọ́ni àti tó ṣàdùkú àtàwọn kọ̀ọ̀kan ní pátì wọn wá bá mi wọ́n ní mo ṣe Káyọ̀dé Òjó wọ́n ní gómìnà Oyèbánjí bí ọdún àbáyọ̀mí Oyèbánjí gómìnà Èkìtì state náà wí kàn lọ suspect mi ní wọ́n lọ fún mi ní suspension nínú ẹgbẹ́ wọ́n dẹ̀ lọ fún mi ní suspension ìyẹn ní ìjẹrin ìgbà tó dẹ̀ di ìjẹta èmi náà lọ sórí rédíò mo rí àwọn méjì tó wá bá mi nínú ilé ìyẹn ní mo fẹ́ rí mi wọ́n á ní kí ló ṣẹlẹ̀ ó ní kí ni mo bá ìwúwo èmi kékeré yìí mo bá ìyá fà á ilé kankan mo ní ìyàwó ni mò ń bá fà á tẹ ní pé mò ń bá ìyá fà á gbà tí màá tún gbọ́n mo ṣe yìnbọn lù mí lẹ́sẹ̀ ni ẹsẹ̀ mi ní mo kàn ní kí n apply sórí rédíò ni pé nǹkan tí mò ń ṣe yìí kí bá mi dúpẹ́ lọ bí ọdún àbáyọ̀mí Oyèbánjí àti Bọ̀sún Ọ̀ṣálọ́ni àti Tósìn Àlùkò àti Mike Akínlẹ́yẹ tó jẹ́ pátí ṣàmánu adólókù gọọmẹ̀ntì oore tó fẹ́ fi san iṣẹ́ tí mo ṣe fún wọn nìyí o torí pé.
Another prominent member of the APC, backing Ojo, also got attacked by the drivers' union in the state. However, the drivers' union later denied the attack. An APC gubernatorial aspirant in the state some months ago also accused the governor of planning a Gestapo-styled abduction of her son from their home.
My name is Honorable Abimbola Olajumoke Olawumi, a gubernatorial aspirant from Ekiti State. They colluded to pick up my son. They came to my house. The YS there is working with the governor. The senator too is a friend to the governor. The three of them are working together.
Ayodele Babatola, an Ado-Ekiti-born ex-US Army officer who doubles as the State House Assembly candidate of the African Democratic Congress for one of the constituencies in Ado-Ekiti, is currently remanded in custody over charges of rape after relentlessly making videos criticizing the quality of projects carried out by the current government in the state.
Ayọ̀délé lorúkọ mi, ìlú Adó mo ti wá máa ń lọ káàkiri láti wo bí kí ló ti ń pè bí ìlú ṣe rí. Mo rí pé láti ìlú Mọ́mọ́ títí dé gbogbo bí ìbá ní Ìjẹ̀ṣà Iṣu ọ̀nà ò dá. Ẹnìkan tó máa ń sọ̀rọ̀ nípa iná bá lọ̀rọ̀ náà yín. Iná náà ò sí. Ṣé kí gan ni ṣé company kankan wà bí àbí ilé kan ní Ìjẹ̀ṣà Iṣu? Well,
according to a statement released by the Ekiti State Police Command, Babatola was accused of rape by a 30-year-old lady, but the text of a statement written by a medical doctor who examined his accusers says otherwise. The younger brother to the former governor of Ekiti State, Ayodele Fayose, Isaac Fayose, has taken to the internet space to demand the release of the aspirants.
Ekiti State is gradually moving from fountain of knowledge to fountain of slavery to fountain of slaves. Everybody in Ekiti are quiet. They are scared of their life. You remember I spoke about Form K. Form K a year ago. Ujugo was detained with Form K. Ujugo was there for over 1 year before a judge finally discharged and accused the guy last week for thumb-up charge Form K. Do you remember Lostain? Lostain too, I made over 17 videos before he was released. He was detained with Form K2 because he said he doesn't want to work with the government again. He wants to work with Kayode Ojo. Do you remember Toyin, the woman that owns a microfinance bank on Bank Road, Ado-Ekiti, was detained too for thumb-up by Dele Owoju. Same thing, Form K. Anybody that said, no, I'm not going to support the state government and I'll follow this person, they will detain them. The latest one now is Ayodele Babatola.
Babatola's mother has also demanded the release of her son unconditionally. Freedom of speech and association are two of the most essential characteristics of democratic governance. With these two being gradually suppressed in Nigeria, how democratic can Nigerian democracy get? Alaba Adeyemi reporting for Hyper FM.
Well, that was a report that we put together about 2 weeks before the Ekiti election. Right now, during the election too, I must praise as someone who, let me now give you some of the things I observed in Ekiti. The election in Ekiti was peaceful. Peaceful. In fact, maybe because the police and the other military formation mobilized more men, but it was generally peaceful. From our own end here, we covered virtually every part of the state. So there were no incidents of anybody being killed or any form of violence against people. There were arguments, there were hate speech, there were issues of complaints from this thing, and there were issues of vote buying. But there is no one who has come out to say that he was coerced to sell his votes, or he was compelled to sell his votes. Some people said, well, maybe they are not physically compelled, but hunger could compel a man to sell whatever he has to stay alive, maybe for the next 1 or 2 days. There are allegations like that, and it appears that in the days leading to the election, the opposition, the main opposition, which is PDP, were not allowed to use certain places they applied for campaigns. So, and I think that cannot be blamed put on the electoral umpire. But one improvement that I also noticed is that even people who have not collected their PVC, or maybe they have lost their PVC, but their name is on the register, were accredited using the beavers and allowed to exercise their franchise. I think that's an improvement. Right now, as we speak, Nigeria has the most credible voters accreditation process in the world. The bimodal voters accreditation process. There's no other country that has a process better than that, where you can be accredited with your face or with your thumb. Or, you understand what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
So those are some of these things. There's over 100 media houses were deployed there, were present, and so everybody tried to cover incidents that happened there, and there were over 100 observers too. So, and most observers are not paid. It's a voluntary work, and as an emerging media organization, we also listed to observe for this thing. When you observe, you can be working and be sending what your observation to other this thing, so that we can all collectively improve our democracy. But there was an incident I would love to use the audio. In this incident, there was a case of vote buying. According to that particular observer, he said that somebody was buying votes. So it's like he saw the person. I've not listened to the audio. I want to listen to it. I want people to decide whatever it seems now from here. He said, then when the person noticed that the observer saw him, he was trying to also bribe the observer.
Being an observer several years, so you understand, and I know what observer entails. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. I can't tell you how much are they giving observer. You understand? Yeah. Don't get something. But I can't give. Sorry, Ọlọ́run jẹ́ ká ṣe orí lórí. Àwọn kan náà wá ń ṣe, àbí? I'm serving my party. Yeah? I'm the one that would bring all this unity results here. Yeah. I'm the one that will bring all these results to the work collection center, because I'm the work collection center. We have work collection center at the primary school. That place is a local government collection center. Do you understand?
So that's where all the
yeah, you understand? Because an election so I will not be there. Even you cannot even reach work collection center. Just is to observe an election. You understand? Whether there is rigging or no rigging, whether there is sharing of money or not. Huh?
I never said anything.
No. I'm just telling you this. I'm a politician to the core. You understand? I have a political that I have. Oh, sing out.
Nobody is saying anything actually.
Basically, that was a party agent trying to bribe an electoral observer yeah, who saw him in the purchasing of votes. Several persons have asked me if I saw vote buying while we were giving the report. If I saw vote buying at the polling unit, many of the vote buying didn't take place at the polling unit. Did not take place at the polling unit. And when you are reporting for a media organization as big as IPA, you have to be careful what you are reporting. You have to be sure of what you are reporting. You have to have your facts right, because I know from experience that there are men whose family members will see them at the polling unit.
Of course.
And say, but I may me. I say, take 2,000. If you take a picture of that and you classify it as vote buying, you are deceiving members of the public while you think that you are doing your civic duty. However, what constitutes vote buying in your opinion, what constitutes vote buying?
Thank you very, very much. Well, you see, to me, I would say that what constitutes vote buying actually goes beyond the issue of, monetary aspects. There are other things that are involved in vote buying, like rightly observed. Vote buying most of the time has started taking place even before prior to the election itself. There are instances whereby maybe a month to that time, they would have been calling various sort of meetings. This leader want to see you, ward meeting, unit meeting.
Are you saying that even if on the election day I did not collect money, but I've collected a bag of rice 2 weeks ago,
exactly,
my vote has been bought?
Of course. It may not be expressly stated. So, but when you're talking about vote buying in this context, maybe is that the purchase of vote at the maybe price of you casting your vote. Does such thing happens? Of course, it happens as well. But like you said, it's not something that is done right there. It is done discreetly. Like this observer, like what we just listened to now. For that agent to have gone ahead trying to like talk to her, okay, don't do this, don't do that. Your observation ends here. By the time the results are taken to the collection center, you won't be there. So even right there, stuff like that. These are the things. But one thing I see to the whole thing is this. Like I said the other time, if you put into perspective the level of our electoral process, we must have seen that there is improvement. Before now, is what we know. But we are not that bought. It was just being hijacked. It will be hijacked in a way that if you had about ballot box snatching, when it was no longer obtainable during when I tell the guy introduced card reader. Now what they will now do is that, okay, they will now monitor where maybe a particular candidate is leading, particularly if it's an opposition. The thugs of the ruling party will now go there, carry the ballot box and smash it.
So you are saying that let us agree on something, that our electoral process has gone beyond the point where anybody can just come and stuff ballot boxes.
No, there's no more ballot stuffing.
So ballot snatching no longer exists.
It no longer exists too,
because the result will be cancelled.
It will be cancelled, exactly.
So that we have taken out that. Exactly. INEC has improved in that regard.
Exactly.
INEC has also improved in the regard to voters accreditation.
Tremendously.
So, because we were in this country one time when Michael Jackson voted.
Exactly. Even your ancestors came to vote. Have you forgotten? Your ancestor that has died so many years back came to vote, and then I went back to where they come from.
So and we have also, there was a time, I think it was during Obasanjo's regime, that an election was conducted in Anambra State, and the number of vote casts was more than the number of registered voters in the state.
Exactly.
In fact, as a matter of fact, it appears that the number of vote casts was more than the population of the state.
The entire state, exactly.
Because they said they had about 9 million votes or thereabouts, and the population of that state was not even up to that.
Exactly.
Even now. So these are the issues. That's why we need to dissect some of these issues clearly. So on vote buying, do you think we can stop it?
Well, you see, vote buying can be stopped. That is, if only, I repeat, if only and only the leaders are deliberate and are intentional about stopping it. Because they are the immediate beneficiary of this vote buying, particularly leaders at the level of when you are in government. That is where the problem is. And poverty, hunger, has been deliberately weaponized for that purpose. And that is why you begin to imagine an election is being conducted. The very minute that election is declared, a winner is declared, and what have you, they start thinking of another election in 4 years' time. Where lies governance? It's like we've completely eroded the years of governance. All we are thinking about in this country is election. Do you know that the election will be held next year? The campaign has started far back 2004 or thereabout. In fact, immediately the president was sworn in, competition has started again. If not for the crisis that started then, when maybe the issue of this Donald Trump coming to invade Nigeria, that was what actually brought down the tempo. It could be as bad as that. So these are the things. So this simply means that in Nigeria, it seems we are more particular about election. And the very minute it appears that, okay, our mind is always tailored toward the election, it's because of the money that is involved. Do you realize that many of the youth or persons that has not gone to register with INEC, maybe for them to be eligible to vote, it's not because they actually wanted to cast their vote for a candidate of their choice. No. Many people have now seen their PVC as at least 2 days meal ticket during that election. It could be as bad as that. But of course, like I said the other time, vote buying can be brought to a minimal level if our leaders are deliberate, if they're intentional about it. And how do I mean? You see, by the time everybody is gainfully employed in one way or the other, either through government or maybe there's electricity, facilities are in place, there are infrastructure that can actually promote or enhance one's business. We'll be engaged. These are the problems. But of course, like I said, you see, and there are various ways of vote buying. There are some that you have to buy with your money directly. Some you even buy with respect. I don't know vividly a particular place in Akure. People that vote there are elites. So you can't give them money. Okay. But what do the youth there normally do? They make sure that they get to the polling unit earlier. They must have arranged canopies, good chairs, even get some pure bottled water. They would have queued up. By the time this elite begins to show up, daddy, mommy, erasa, you start standing up from your seat out. Daddy, come and sit down. Daddy, come and sit down. Mommy, come and sit down. By the time daddy sit down, mommy sits down. Number one, you cannot convince daddy about the issue of president. Because daddy will know the president, you can't convince them. You can't convince daddy about the issue of governor. Because there's another person. In some cases, you can't even convince daddy about the issue of senator. But, Mr. Alaba, you can convince daddy on the issue of House of Rep and House of Assembly. Daddy will just ask you, do you know this person you're talking about? Daddy is my friend. And daddy will look at you as a responsible boy. Definitely, you have got to be responsible. And I said, Jack Robinson, daddy would have gone ahead to cast his vote for your friend. Sure, you understand? What do we call that? Is it not lobbying? The money is not involved, but they succeeded in buying daddy's art over. So if the person is going to go in there to represent you well, nobody knows. Daddy doesn't even know your friend. He doesn't know the person you're actually campaigning for. So both buying comes in different, but which one is more pronounced? The one that is more pronounced seems to be the one that money is being exchanged directly. Is it happening? Of course it is happening. But like I said, these are things that you can no longer capture with your phone any longer. Like I said the other time, you are on the queue. Maybe you saw, an area younger brother. Tell this one, just take to buy something. That doesn't constitute vote buying. So it is being done discreetly most of the time.
Okay. Let us look at political complaints and political complainants. In Ekiti State, there is a young man who is the candidate of the Accord Party, David Falegon. Since the day of the election, even before the election was concluded, he has invaded the internet complaining about how he was shortchanged, how his votes were not counted, how so many things happened. But this gentleman is a member of the British Royal Army, Royal Air Force. Still serving. Okay. Is it legitimate for anyone who holds two nationality to even contest to become anything, especially a governor in Nigeria? Is it legal? Is it legal?
Of course, you can contest. It's just citizenship. So far, he has not renounced his Nigerian citizenship, so he can contest. Okay. You understand? But it is at the point of him renouncing his country citizenship, that's when he cannot contest. But where he's having issue now is that he is still gainfully employed with the British government as a Royal Army or Royal Navy, as the case may be.
Now, can a member of a security force of another nation hold a government position in Nigeria?
He must have resigned.
So he didn't resign.
So it's more of a criminal offense.
And as a matter of fact, he didn't show up.
He knows what he's doing.
Most of the period of the campaign,
he knows what he's doing.
He was not in Nigeria.
He knows what he's doing.
He makes videos.
He was not in Nigeria. You're not saying that you are being shortchanged. It's just like what happened in the case of, in the case of 2023 general election, when a particular presidential aspirant said he won the election. At the end of the day, it was discovered that he did not even have 45,000, agents in some polling units. How can you be accounted for the very minute you are not being represented adequately? You don't have a hire there, you don't have an agent there. This person that is complaining now, you are not around, you do not have agent, you do not do anything whatsoever, and you're not. How was it changed?
Well, only Mr. Falegon can answer that question appropriately. But those are the statements that he has made. And as a matter of fact, I still watched an interview this morning where he was claiming that people were intimidated, that people were harassed, that Ekiti was militarized, in the sense that there were about 170,000 armed security agents deployed to Ekiti. Let me pick this call. We are just having a conversation here. Hello.
Hello, sir.
Hello.
Hey, Daddy, Ekaro, sir.
Ekaro.
Yes, sir. Mo fẹ́ kán gbàdúrà fọ́mọ mi fún mi ní mo múra lóyìnbó fún kò bọ́ sí ẹjọ́ ìṣàánú.
Ètò tá à ń ṣe lọ́wọ́ yìí kì í ṣe ètò tó ti ń gbàdúrà fún yàn. Ọlọ́run á gbàdúrà yín. Well, different folks with different stroke. Exactly. You know, sometimes maybe it's a wrong number. Maybe one of the pastors that Mr. Akanwo used to bring here. Maybe use this number to receive call. And
maybe it was Mr. Akanwo that used to receive call by himself.
Please kindly note that the program you are listening to is political perspective. It is not a revival program. It's not a pre-crusade program. As a matter of fact, what we are doing today is that we are doing a post-election analysis of the 2 by-elections that we covered out of about 5 by-elections that took place last Saturday. So we were talking about political jokers, actors who are actually jokers but are eating up the polity. And let us also look at Mr. Isaac Fayoshe, whom for most of the campaign period was not in Ekiti. He's an Ekiti indigene and has a right to have a say about what is taking place at home. But in the period leading to the election, began to make certain comments that are not substantiated. For example, about 3 days or 4 days to the election, Mr. Isaac Fayoshe came online to say that about 5,000, that a former governor of the state has imported about 5,000 armed men from Oyo State to Ekiti to destabilize the election. He didn't tell us where they are housed, which places they went to, but the truth of the matter is that it is not possible for 5,000 armed men to get into a state like Ekiti and it will not be noticed. But majorly, that was his claim. Another time, he claimed that bullion vans were being brought into Ekiti. Well, I have a video that I made myself of bullion vans in Ado Ekiti on Friday. I shared it with another journalist who is also a fact checker about those 2 bullion vans guided by about 3 security trucks along the New Inyi Road. The person reminded me of the fact that Central Bank Ado Ekiti is not far from that place. That those vehicles were headed in the direction of the Central Bank. They were not headed in the direction outside the Central Bank. That those vehicles are possibly vehicles that were bringing cash from banks, commercial banks outside Ado Ekiti into the city. That was the explanation. He said although it could be true that they were carrying funds that could have been used to influence the election, but no one has a proof. As a matter of fact, the video that I have, Mr. Isaac Fayoshe does not have it, but he preferred to heat up the polity. What are the lapses you noticed in the Ondo South election? Let's get to you now because of our time.
Thank you very much. Well, before we go into that, let me just quickly address the issue of this is not of the polity. You know, one thing, that is why social media needs to be regulated. When there was an advocacy that it should be regulated, then we are saying it shouldn't be. But from what we've been seeing lately, I think it should be regulated because social media has created more problems than solutions. Because in the case whereby you cannot even actually substantiate what you are laying claims to, and before you say Jack Robinson, it begins to take a negative effect on the people. People begin to react spontaneously on this false information you are disseminating through the social media handles. So to a large extent, I think social media need to be regulated. You are not in Ekiti. You are not based there, even if you are from Ekiti, but you are just basing your argument, you are basing your assertions on just hearsay, or you are deliberately eating up the polity for reason best known to them. So in case whereby you put up any statement there and it end up bringing about unnecessary problem, chaos, unnecessary misunderstanding among the citizens, I think such things should be all responsible for any statement that you are putting on there. So I think it should be regulated. That is by the way. Secondly, about what happened in Ondo South. Like I said, Ondo South was just a by-election. So to a very large extent, I can tell you, it wasn't taken seriously at all. Actually, there was the declaration.
You mean the electorate?
Electorate did not take it seriously at all. There was a declaration that there should not be vehicular movement and stuff like that. Sir, there was more than vehicular movement. All shops were opened. In fact, a particular major market, just like the one we are having here, took place that very day. So people just went about going about their normal duty, and I was like, I think it was declared that there should not be vehicular movement, except human movement, as in you trying to go and vote, cast your vote. All businesses were just going on to as if not, people not coming out to vote as expected, because people are more particular. I interviewed a particular woman. She said that the yam she is selling, that she used money, that she borrowed money to buy the, that she need to return the money back maybe on Monday. That we should not, because of election, now not sell our goods. I mean, it goes on and on. At least the whole place are navigated with Okada, different Okadas. At least, if had it been indeed there was restriction, would I have been able to achieve that? No. So these are the things. So I can say that the election in those are the by-election, and being a by-election, people won't, like some equally said, that they already know where the result is tilting to, for reason best known to them. So for that, they say it doesn't what is going. Why should I start stressing myself? Even one said that the money we used to transporting ourselves down there, that is there any benefit to attach to it? You understand what I'm trying to say? That's your vote buying comes in again. So there was less mobilization of the electorate to actually go out there and cast their vote, because it was just an off-circuit election. It was just a by-election. So people did not actually take it seriously compared to if it was to be a major election like the election of the governorship. But anything that has to do with maybe staggered election,
but even governorship, we rarely have up to 30% voters turnout. For example, at a recent forum, we were discussing that the vote that brought the current president in was about 8.7 million votes. And the number of registered voters were 93 million. It means that 8.7 million out of 93 million people determined who became the president. Look at the total number of votes cast during the presidential election in 2023 is less than 24 million. Out of 93 million, it means that almost 70 million registered voters in Nigeria did not turn up at the polling unit to cast their vote. And many of them are on social media today. They are in their houses today, in their churches and their moshalashes today, complaining about the outcome of this thing. The Ekiti election in 2022 had about 30% voters turnout, and this one too, because the governor won with about 380,000 votes or thereabout, with about 40,000. So about 450,000 people came out in a state with over 1 million registered voters. So it's an indication that there are people, they want good governance, but they don't even want to vote, even when they are paid to do so. Let us now begin to underscore it, that even with inducement, less than an average of 30% or less are coming out to cast their vote for the persons they want. Ondo State has over 2 million voters. Despite the landslide recorded by the governor, it was a landslide up to 500,000 votes. These are the challenges. These are the issues that the people themselves must take care of. It's not the INEC. As far as I'm concerned, INEC has greatly improved.
Tremendously.
I have participated in elections. I don't know if this person is calling us or wants to be prayed for too. Hello.
Yes. Good morning, sir.
A very good morning to you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
You have about a minute because we're about to round up.
Yes, sir. Yes. I know that the program is almost end. All I just want to say is that I don't know how long our politicians will continue to waste our money. You see this issue of senator. When somebody is not dead, is still alive, and you can appoint another person as minister or as ambassador to anywhere United Nations seat. So I don't know why that same senator that will now go back to the people who just elected now you now say that this same elected member, I want to use you, appoint him as minister. These are wastages, waste of money. I don't know for how long we'll continue like this. A politician will be there receiving retirement bonus for 8 years as former governor or for 4 years as a council, all this kind of thing. Look at the governor in Abia City. Stop all this nonsense. So politicians should stop wasting our money. God forbid, if such person die, are you telling me that there won't be anybody that will be appointed to United Nations or to as minister? These are waste of money. How they waste our public money instead of doing necessary things. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. You know that he's very correct.
It's very, very correct.
Dave Umahi was an elected senator in this regime.
Exactly.
Before he was appointed minister. You remember that Honorable Wanjuba was just elected into the House of Reps and Buhari has appointed him as minister.
Exactly.
As if there are no other persons to be appointed. These are some of the issues that we'll continue to look at, because when you look at the amount of manpower, the amount of logistics mobilized for election, it's not easy.
It's not easy, yeah.
As a matter of fact, that election you said that people didn't care about, when you will see the budget, the amount of money spent in printing ballot paper, because they must print the ballot paper of the number of voters, registered voters.
Exactly.
Many of those papers are end up being wasted, and in fact, you cannot even give it to Mama Onikuli to sell kulikuli with, because they will say they are selling kulikuli with INEC paper. They will be burnt. These are the issues that we must continuously discuss and take care of. I think our time is up. Thank you, Mr.